Why is it that when a major game approaches, when group chats light up, bets are placed, schedules are rearranged, when people shout at screens and refresh scores every few seconds, you feel almost nothing at all? Not boredom, not coldness, and not a lack of passion, just a quiet distance. The same noise, the same tension, the same decisive moment that ignites something intense in others seems to reach you through glass, visible, audible, but strangely untouched. And sometimes you catch yourself wondering, why does the outcome of a game, one you can't influence, one that doesn't change your life in any concrete way, carry so much emotional weight for so many people? Why do you slowly realize that it's not just that you don't follow sports, but that you've never really cared? You understand the rules. You can follow the score. You can see why others are invested. Yet when people say, "we won" or "we lost," that sense of belonging never quite lands for you. You've never needed to anchor your identity to a logo, a jersey, or a shared surge of emotion. You define yourself through lived experience, real relationships, real effort, real growth, not through a victory you didn't participate in. And why, the calmer you remain, the more you're sometimes misunderstood. You're called boring, detached, out of sync, as if not shouting at a screen means you're missing something essential about being human. But you know the truth? You're not emotionless. You're just emotional about different things. You feel deeply for people, for ideas, for stories that touch your own life. You just don't burn yourself up over outcomes that never belonged to you in the first place. If any of this feels familiar, this episode is not about whether sports are good or bad, and it's not an argument against excitement or collective joy. It's a deeper, more interesting question. When someone feels consistently indifferent to sports, what's actually happening beneath the surface? Is it the way their brain processes reward, their relationship to identity and belonging, or the quiet history that shaped where their emotions choose to land? Understanding this may reveal something important, not about what you're missing, but about the frequency you're tuned to. For many people, not caring about sports is not a conscious decision. It isn't rebellion. It isn't indifference for the sake of standing apart. It's simply something you notice, again and again. When the world suddenly becomes emotionally unified around a single event, you find yourself standing slightly outside of it. The cheering grows louder, the tension thickens. People stand up, shout, curse, celebrate, collapse into each other's arms. Everything feels urgent, everything feels meaningful, and yet, inside you, something remains still. Not judgment, not irritation, just an absence of pull. You're not confused about what's happening. You understand the rules, the stakes, the momentum. But the emotional current never quite reaches you. You don't feel superior to those who are swept up in it. And you don't feel disgusted by the excitement. You feel out of sync. And this distance often brings a quiet question with it. Why does something so disconnected from daily life, something that changes nothing about who we are tomorrow, have the power to move so many people so deeply? Psychology doesn't describe this as emotional coldness. It points instead to differences in tribal resonance. For many, sports function as an emotional synchronizer, a fast, reliable way to feel aligned with others, a shared rhythm that says, we are part of the same story. But your sense of self doesn't automatically seek that fusion. You don't need a collective surge of emotion to feel real, grounded, or complete. And from this quiet mismatch, your inner world begins to take a different shape, one that values meaning over momentum and depth over volume. There is a phrase you've heard countless times after a game ends: we won. But if you're honest, that "we" has never fully included you. You know what it refers to, you understand why it's said, yet emotionally, you stand just outside of it. Not excluded, unattached. This isn't a failure to belong. It's a difference in how identity is constructed. Psychological research shows that people with low interest in sports tend to rely less on group achievement to stabilize their sense of self. Their answer to "who am I?" comes less from collective success and more from internal coherence. You don't feel elevated when a team wins. You don't feel diminished when they lose. Your self-worth doesn't rise and fall with outcomes you didn't influence. You also tend to resist the sharp division of us versus them, not because you're neutral about everything, but because you're cautious about letting identity harden into allegiance. You're more interested in understanding than opposing, more curious than combative, and this can make you seem distant in emotionally charged spaces. While others are carried forward by collective momentum, you pause, almost instinctively, to ask, does this actually belong to me? This isn't arrogance, and it isn't emotional withdrawal. It's a psychological boundary, one that protects your sense of self from being outsourced to symbols, teams, or borrowed victories. You don't need reflected glory to feel that you exist. Sports fans often say, once you really watch, you'll understand. But maybe you did watch, attentively, with genuine openness, and still nothing happened. That absence isn't ignorance, it's neurological difference. Sports are built on one of the most powerful reward structures known to psychology: uncertainty. No one knows what will happen next. Each moment carries the possibility of triumph or loss. This unpredictability triggers dopamine release. Anticipation, tension, relief, repeat. From a neuroscientific perspective, this loop closely resembles the mechanisms behind gambling and other high-engagement, high-addiction behaviors. But for some people, this kind of secondhand tension simply doesn't register as rewarding. Your nervous system doesn't stay suspended by outcomes that unfold without your involvement. Your emotional system seems to ask a different question. What did I actually do here? Research suggests that some individuals are less responsive to spectator-based competition. Their reward systems are tuned instead to direct engagement and tangible impact. You're more likely to feel alive when your actions shape the outcome, when effort, risk, and consequence belong to you. That's why a game may leave you untouched, while a decision, a creation, or a relationship can stir intense emotion. It isn't that you lack passion, it's that your passion refuses to live on the sidelines. You're not interested in being hooked by someone else's win or loss. You want your emotional energy to be invested where your life is actually being lived. There is a question most people rarely stop to ask. When you invest emotion into a game, what are you actually participating in? You're not on the field. You don't carry the physical risk. You don't bear the long-term consequences of the outcome. And yet your mood may rise or collapse as if something personal has occurred. Psychology refers to this as parasocial investment, an emotional bond formed with people and stories that do not directly interact with you. For many, this is not unhealthy. It provides a contained space to experience tension, release, hope, and loss without direct exposure. But for you, something feels misaligned. You instinctively notice that your emotional energy is being asked to flow toward a result that changes nothing about your own life. So your system hesitates. You're not rejecting excitement. You're questioning where excitement belongs. You prefer emotional loops where effort connects to outcome, where care has feedback and involvement carries meaning beyond observation. This doesn't make you less passionate. It means your emotional compass points toward participation rather than projection. People often assume that indifference to sports signals emotional distance, but psychology suggests something subtler. Empathy is not infinite. It is a resource, one the mind learns to allocate carefully. Many people who feel unmoved by sports are not lacking emotional depth. They are acutely aware of its cost. You know that once you truly care, you don't switch it off easily. Concern lingers. Emotion follows you home. It reshapes how you think, sleep, and respond. So you choose carefully. You feel deeply for people you know, for relationships that require repair, for real suffering, injustice, complexity. Compared to that, the emotional highs and lows of a televised competition can feel thin, not because they are meaningless, but because they do not stay. Your nervous system quietly asks, is this worth carrying? Psychology would call this emotional resource management. You don't feel less, you distribute feeling intentionally. And because of that, your empathy may appear quieter, but it often runs deeper, rooted in places where it can actually matter. At some point, many people notice that their rhythm doesn't quite match the world's. Not dramatically, just enough to require effort, extra smiling, extra pretending, extra enthusiasm for things that don't genuinely move them. People who remain indifferent to sports often reach this realization earlier. Not because they lack social awareness, but because the mismatch is harder to ignore. They begin to sense that participation, when performed rather than felt, slowly erodes self-trust, and maturity begins there, not in learning how to blend in everywhere, but in learning where blending in is no longer necessary. You stop apologizing for what doesn't resonate. You stop assuming disinterest means deficiency. Psychology describes this as identity integration, a state where self-worth no longer depends on shared excitement or external validation. You realize that belonging does not require emotional uniformity. It can exist as quiet alignment with yourself. And when you can say calmly, "This isn't mine," without resentment or shame, that is not withdrawal. That is stability. You may still carry a quiet, unspoken question. Is there something missing in me that makes it hard to feel what they feel? If I were more easily stirred, more willing to cheer, more ready to be swept into the excitement, would I be more normal? Does not caring about sports mean I'm less passionate, less engaged, less capable of sharing collective joy? But psychology suggests something very different. Many people who feel unmoved by sports are not emotionally absent, they are emotionally selective. Their brains respond less to intermittent rewards, screen-mediated victories, and competitions that carry little consequence for their own lives. Not because they are cold, but because meaning for them does not arrive through observation alone. This isn't a lack of empathy. It's a different direction of it. You don't grieve fictional losses easily. You don't celebrate victories you didn't participate in. You don't hand your emotional weight to outcomes you cannot influence. So you may appear quieter, less reactive, sometimes even out of sync. But what's actually happening is that your care is reserved for places where it can return something real, relationships where your presence matters, work that changes with your effort, and a life where your choices shape the outcome. Not caring about sports doesn't mean you missed a human requirement. It means you chose a different way to experience meaning, connection, and investment. You are not a broken spectator, and you are not standing on the wrong side. You simply didn't place your emotional stakes on that table, and that too is a form of clarity. This is Felix. May you understand yourself a little deeper and treat the growing version of you with patience and kindness. See you next time.